Everyone thinks EV range is stuck, but Mercedes proves otherwise. Solid-state batteries could push an EV past 1,000 kilometers on one charge. That's roughly double today's best. Here's the real limit. Today's EVs run on lithium-ion cells, and they hit a wall around 300 watt-hours per kilogram of energy. That ceiling is why range anxiety and slow charging still exist. Break the ceiling and everything changes. So what actually changes inside the cell? Start with a normal lithium-ion battery. It moves tiny charged particles, ions, back and forth between two ends through a liquid, a wet flammable liquid called the electrolyte. That liquid is the carrier. A solid-state battery does one thing differently. It swaps that liquid for a solid or a nearly solid electrolyte. That's it. One change. Everything else in this video follows from replacing the wet part with a firm one. Same idea. Ions still shuttle from one side to the other, but now they travel through a solid bridge instead of a liquid pool. But why does swapping a liquid for a solid buy you more range? Because the solid lets you pack in more energy per kilogram. Mercedes and its partner Factorial rate their cells near 391 watt-hours per kilogram. Today's leading cells sit at 300 or less. That jump is the whole game. More energy in the same weight and space means the car goes farther on one charge. Mercedes says its Factorial pack delivers a real-world range beyond 1,000 kilometers, about 25% farther than a same-size, same-weight lithium-ion pack. Same box under the floor, roughly a quarter more distance. That 391 number is doing the heavy lifting. Range is only part of it. Remember that flammable liquid. Take it out and the cell is far more stable and less likely to catch fire. That solid core also charges faster. Stellantis validated cells at 375 watt-hours per kilogram that go from 15% to over 90% in about 18 minutes, at normal room temperature. Toyota is aiming even higher, 10% to 80% in roughly 10 minutes. And they last. In one endurance test, PowerCo confirmed a QuantumScape solid-state cell passed more than 1,000 charging cycles while keeping 95% of its capacity. For a typical EV, that's over 500,000 kilometers. So safer, faster, and it barely wears out. But who's actually building these? Here's who's shipping it. Mercedes and Factorial are street testing a modified EQS on public roads with their quasi-solid Solstice pack, which they call the world's first solid-state battery to leave the lab and drive. Toyota aims to launch its first all-solid-state EV in 2027 or 2028, targeting up to 1,000 kilometers. QuantumScape opened its Eagle pilot line in February 2026 and plans to license the design through Volkswagen's PowerCo rather than build the cells itself. And many makers are starting with quasi-solid cells, keeping a little liquid as a nearer-term bridge that fits existing factory lines. Different bets, same destination. Now the whole picture clicks. Replace one wet, flammable liquid with a firm one, and three wins arrive together. More energy per kilogram for that 1,000 kilometers on a single charge, faster charging, and a cell that's harder to set on fire. One material swap, three payoffs. But here's the honest part. The impressive packs on public roads today are quasi-solid. They still keep a little liquid. Fully solid-state EVs you can actually buy are still a few years out, roughly 2027 to 2028, and mass production isn't proven yet. The mechanism is real. The showroom is just not here quite yet. So the next time you hear 1,000 kilometers on one charge, you'll know it comes down to one swap. Liquid out, solid in. Curious what happens to all those old batteries next? Subscribe and we'll open that box too. This is information, not financial or purchase advice. Do your own research.